Good morning. It is Friday, May 16th. My name is Lou Reyes, and welcome to Social Security This Week. It's a new program that I have here on Over 50 TV. Now, today I'm going to tell you why Social Security's cost of living adjustment for 2026 is projected to be the lowest since 2021. Now, I'm also going to give you the latest on Medicaid and SNAP cuts. I think you're going to want to know about that. Also, what I want to do is tell you why people 62 and older with student loan debt could see up to 15% of their Social Security benefits garnished. Yeah, it's been a busy week in the Social Security world. And I'm actually surprised how much is going on. And it's just so important, I think, for all of us, especially those of us who are on Social Security, who are getting Social Security benefits every month. I think it's important for all of us to stay on top of the latest news. So, yeah, that's why I started this channel or started over 50 TV, but it's also why I decided to launch this program every Friday. I'll give you the latest updates. So I'm just going to jump into it. And what I'm also going to do, though, just so you know, if you're if you're listening to this show, paying attention, I'm going to give you the information. I'm going to give you what I know to be the latest, most up to date information. I'm also at times, though, I'm also going to kind of give you some of my feedback as well. I want this to be more of a informational kind of a time that I'm with you here on Fridays. But I also think it's important that I give you my perspective. And a lot of my perspective is because or from the feedback and the comments that I get from viewers. So you're going to hear some of what I say when it comes to like Social Security's cost of living adjustment. You're going to also hear what I think and also what some of the other viewers think as well. So yes, Social Security cost of living adjustment for 2026 is projected to be the lowest in recent years, and actually since 2021. Now, right now, from what we know, and again, I'm going to give you some additional information. But from what we know, the COLA, the cost of living adjustment, may be, and I'm underlining the words may be, 2.4% in 2026. Now, this is according to two sources that I use, and I use them religiously. It's according to Mary Johnson. She's an independent Social Security and Medicare policy analyst. I've followed her for a very long time. I find her information is always right on. So when I tell you 2.4 for 2026, I'm telling you that with confidence. But I also have looked at the Senior Citizens League, a nonpartisan senior group. Many of you, if you watch my channel here, you know that I quote them. I quote them often because I also find that their information is pretty accurate. They've got analysts that just along with Mary, I think are some of the very best. So I do lean on what they say. So if this increase, if it goes into effect next year, it would be, as I mentioned, it'd be the lowest than the 2.5% increase that we got last year and we saw in 2025. It would also be the lowest cost of living adjustment since 2021 when we saw a 1.3% increase that went into effect. And I know a lot of folks out there commented to me. I mean, hundreds of people commented, Lou, this isn't enough. You know, what are they thinking? You know, it's like it amounted, I think, to like $50 last year or in that area. And a lot of people said, why bother? But then, of course, there were some folks who said, hey, Lou, it's going to get me a tank of gas and maybe a McDonald's, a dinner. So, it was something. And some of the folks said it's better than nothing. But the vast majority of people who are receiving Social Security and got that COLA were just like, this is just ridiculous, man. What the heck are they thinking here? And I can give you more on that, too. I'll give you more of my opinion as we go on, or from what I know, what other folks are saying. But why is it so low? Well, the annual adjustment for the 2026, for that adjustment is calculated using, and most of you know this, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you, Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. It's called the CPI-W if you look it up. Specifically, what it does is it compares the recent numbers to the third quarter of the current year to the same period in the previous year, and they take that year-over-year difference, and that determines the annual increase. Now, if there is no rise in the CPI index, which I can't imagine there won't be, if there's no rise, and the COLA could be zero, as we saw in 2010, we saw that in 2011, we saw it in 2016. So yeah, so it's not like it couldn't happen, but because of what I believe are the tariff induced spikes that we're going to be seeing in prices and also inflation, I believe that I doubt, seriously doubt that COLA will be zero. I think there's zero chance that COLA will be zero. But I plan on keeping you updated either here every Friday, or what I'll do, if you decide, you can subscribe to my free breaking news email. And if I find out something during the week, I'll be sure to tell you and send you that information. So yeah, you can get it either way. Either you wait till Fridays here on this channel, maybe you check out some other channels, or what you could do is just get my free breaking news email and you get the information like that. So yeah, I'd be happy to do that for you. But I do want to go back to this amount. Now, given the price increases that we've seen, that this wild fluctuations, whether it's gas prices going up, gas prices going down, eggs going up, the price of eggs going down, this COLA, this lousy 2.4% COLA, it's just not going to be enough for most folks out there. And I know that 90 some percent of you out there would agree. There's also going to be people out there who maybe are in a better position, and you're going to think, well, hey, it's like the one person told me, hey, it's better than nothing. I can get a tank of gas. He was just so mellow, just didn't really seem to matter to him. But it is not enough for most of us out there, given the increases. Now, we're going to be looking at increases in tariffs. I just saw yesterday, maybe you did too, where Walmart says at the end of the month, they're going to start raising their prices on some items. Now, they're not going to raise prices, from what I know, and I pay attention to this stuff. It's kind of what I do for a living, is I don't believe they're going to raise prices on everything, but they're going to raise prices on some items that are critical. But you can bet one thing about Walmart. Even though they are going to raise their prices because of tariffs, is what they're saying, they're going to get their money. They're going to get their money. So yeah, they're going to pass off some savings to you and me. I don't shop at Walmart, but 90% of the population, according to Walmart, shops at that store, at that chain. But regardless of that, they're going to get their money. So some prices are going to raise, some prices are going to stay the same, but either way, they get their money. They're smart folks at Walmart. They're going to get their money. So yeah, we're going to be looking at a paltry, and I said lousy, it's going to be a paltry 2.4% increase in 2022. Now, if inflation goes up, CPI goes up, yeah, it could be a little bit higher, but I don't see it being zero. So anyways, so if you guys have any questions, you're welcome to go ahead and send me an email. You can also make a comment in the comment section. I think I've got that up there. But anyways, let's get to the next thing here. I want to talk about Medicaid cuts, because I think that's important. A lot of folks out there are concerned about Medicaid, especially, obviously for lower income folks, also for SNAP. I'm going to talk about SNAP because it does affect a lot of people out there. So we're going to give you some information on Medicaid. Now, I'm going to give you the most recent update, and that is as of this morning, because we actually sat around and we had a conference, a meeting and a conference call as well, and we were talking about Medicaid. And so I thought, well, you know what, let me just go ahead and give you what we know to be the latest. Now, we know this: on Tuesday, May 13th, just a few days ago, the House Energy and Commerce Committee, they advanced their portion of the budget reconciliation bill, and their goal is to shave off, to cut $880 billion in savings, and most of it's going to be done through Medicaid. Yeah, none of us are surprised about that. It's been all over the news. But the Congressional Budget Office, what they're saying, they're estimating that these provisions would reduce the federal deficit by $625 billion over 10 years. And it would also, though, the CBO is also saying it's going to increase the uninsured population by at least 7.6 million people by 2034. And let me interject something here. I'm interested to see how those uninsured, uninsured population increasing by 7.6 million, which my guess it's going to increase by even more than that, or could potentially, probably will increase by more than that, just based on population growth. In terms of, I say population growth, I actually mean people who are going to be turning 62, 63 and aging. So yeah, we're going to see substantial cuts in Medicaid. And the key Medicaid proposals, what they include, are work and verification requirements. And this is imposing at least 80 hours per month of work or education for able-bodied recipients. And it's really aimed at reducing enrollment in Medicaid. And I've looked at this, the proposal is the information I've seen, and it's just making it a lot harder for folks to apply for Medicaid. But there are work and verification requirements. Then, of course, you got the reduced matching federal rates, which is going to scale back what the states give. What they're saying is scaling back the 90% federal Medicaid medical assistance percentage for Medicaid expansion. So yeah, that's going to happen. We're going to also have stricter eligibility verification and stricter co-pays. And then we're going to have another item, which I found interesting. It's what we could just call other measures, and it's stripping Medicaid funding from organizations that offer abortion services and exploring. And that doesn't apply to most of us. I realize that. I realize that. But there are folks out there, grandmoms, who are raising their grandkids. So when we say that this doesn't apply to older people, you know what? It can apply. It can apply. And I'm not saying that we should or shouldn't have this, but I'm saying that there are many women and men out there who are raising their grandkids. So when we say we're stripping Medicaid funding from organizations offering abortion services, yes, it could have an impact on some older adults, older retirees. SNAP cuts. Let's talk about this. On May 13th, like I said, Tuesday, the House Agricultural Committee, they marked up their portion of the reconciliation bill. They approved $230 billion in savings over 10 years, and this is primarily from SNAP. Now, if you're not familiar with SNAP, and I'm going to just give you that information, it's called the SNAP, which is a Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It's a federal program, provides low-income families with benefits to purchase groceries. And the program, at least when I was growing up, it was known as food stamps. Yeah, food stamps. And a lot of folks, they were on food stamps. Maybe you got laid off from your job. You had to go on food stamps. Maybe you just, whatever situation you were in, you had to go on food stamps. But the proposal includes state cost sharing. So it's going to require states to cover a portion of SNAP benefits. It's going to also have the work requirements. So it's going to expand reporting for ages 55 to 64. So yes, my friends, it's going to impact us. And also for parents of school-aged children. And there are no waivers for high unemployment areas. Now, there are 3 states that I look at historically that I've seen, and I did a report on West Virginia and the number of folks who are getting Medicaid in West Virginia and SNAP benefits, and it's very high. You got, West Virginia, Michigan, and also California. And you got areas in California. So there's no waivers for high unemployment areas. And if we do have a recession, even if it's a mild recession, according to Jamie Dimon, if we do have a mild recession, if we do have folks not being hired or being laid off, well, you know what? It's going to be no help, because whether or not you're in a high unemployment area or not, I mean, it's just going to be an issue. You got to qualify, and I'm just giving the qualifications. Now, benefit restrictions. It's going to block future benefit increases for emergencies. This is something that I guess I kind of didn't really understand. But there's a lot about Congress that I don't understand, and a lot that you don't understand, I'm sure. Blocking future benefit increases for emergencies. Now, think about COVID. We just went through COVID-19. Just went through COVID-19 as an emergency. Now, granted, it was maybe once in a hundreds of years, but you never know if there's an emergency locally, and it's going to block future benefit increases for emergencies, which to me makes no sense whatsoever to even to put that restriction in there. And also, you've got the CBO. What they're saying is that they're going to project that these changes could lead to 100,000 to 150,000 people losing some benefits. And without question, it's going to just exasperate food insecurity for a lot of folks out there. Now, giving you this information about Medicaid and about SNAP. So what are the next steps? What do we need to know? Well, this is going to take some time. It's a fluid situation, but we know this. Number one, there's going to be some consolidation by the House Budget Committee. They're going to sit down and look at the numbers. They're going to consolidate these two committees, the findings from these two committees, the recommendations. Then you're going to, after it goes to consolidation with the House Budget Committee, then it's going to go to House floor for a vote. They're saying they're going to do it May 19th. That's what I heard as of, I think it was this morning. It might have been last night, but as of this morning. So it's going to go to a House floor vote. Senate consideration and potential revisions is the third step, and then the fourth step is the House and the Senate. There's a conference, and of course they have the final passage. But this whole process is fluid. With the GOP, with all the infighting, the internal, what we call internal divisions, and public protests, which are just all over the place. I just got an email. I'm on Bernie Sanders' list, and I just got an email. He's doing a live Zoom in a few days. So, there's a lot of folks out there, including Bernie Sanders, who are fighting this, and we'll see where it goes. But there is a lot of protests. It's kind of complicating this whole process. I'm going to keep you updated. I'll do it, like I said, every Friday here or through my free breaking news emails. So you might want to just go ahead and really subscribe to that, because I do think it's important that we all stay on top of this, whether it's we get our COLA, what that's going to be, and you really want to get it from a source where you can get solid information. And I put my links when I produce a video. I put the links, the source code, the source links, the URLs in my description box, so you can check out information for yourself. But I recommend you check it out yourself if you want to find another source as well. But let's just go to the next one. And I've told you I wanted to cover three things here. I'm going to talk about student loan borrowers in default and how they could see up to 15% of their Social Security benefits garnished. Now, before some of you out there, and I know I get this, man, I get folks out there who tell me, what's a senior doing getting a student loan? Why do they have it? Well, you know what? You'd be surprised, but there's 2.9 million seniors age 62. I'll say seniors age 62. I don't feel like a senior, but anyway, 2.9 million people who are 62 and over who are receiving or have student loans. Now, out of that 2.9 million, take a guess how many of those folks are in default. And I'm going to go over it a little bit more here, but take a guess. 450,000 borrowers, people who have student loans in that age group, are in default on their federal student loans, and they're likely receiving Social Security benefits. This is according to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Think about it. 2.9 folks, 62 and over, are receiving have student loans, and then you got 450,000, almost 500,000 of them are in default. Think about what would happen to you if 15% of your Social Security check was withheld, was garnished. Think about it. And I know that there's some people out there, and there's many folks out there who aren't solely dependent on Social Security. But if you are solely dependent on Social Security, and 15% is taken, that's a problem. But let me say this, from what I'm understanding, if your income is only Social Security, you won't be garnished. Don't take that to the bank, but that's what I've been told. It is what I understand. So I'm just letting you know that. But from what I also know is that Social Security has to make sure you have at least $750. So if they garnish your 15%, and if it's lower than 750 or 750 and lower, they won't garnish. But again, I don't want you don't have to just take my word on it, but that is what I know. So now, again, 2.9 million folks age 62 and older on Social Security, and this is as of the first quarter of 2025. Now, as I mentioned, 450,000 folks are in default. And what we see is Social Security recipients who typically see up to if they see 15% of their monthly benefit reduced to pay back for that default, well, it's going to have that big impact, as I mentioned. And this offset, it's regardless of the benefit. I mean, it could be retirement, it could be disability payments, but the government's going to get their money. And there is a big issue right now with being notified. Now, the federal government's saying we notified people before COVID, or, they were notified. And then, of course, there was a pause on collections, on payments. But so the government's saying, we don't need to notify you again. That's what they're saying. And that has become an issue. There's a lot of folks out there who are upset about that. They're saying, well, we need to be notified. And then you've got so many days to to last I saw, I think it was like 30 days. It was 90 at one point. But you do have to, in my opinion, I would contact the government's default resolution, what they call the government's default resolution group. I'll put a link in the description of this video. I didn't even think of that, or I would have done it already. But you're going to want to contact them if you do have a loan in default, and see what you can work out. But all isn't lost if your only income is Social Security. And again, I'm going to go ahead and keep you updated. I'll keep you updated here every Friday, or you can, subscribe to my free breaking news email if you want to get the latest on what's going on. And I will definitely keep you up to date. But let me just kind of summarize this here for you, okay? Because I think it's important to get a perspective that, in addition, there's a lot I've just given you, and I've given it to you rather quickly, I think. But let me just summarize all this for you. As somebody who is on Social Security, meaning me, I am always on top of what's going on with the payments. And I know that I happen to think that folks who are maybe, if you're really low income, sometimes you're just not even thinking about it. You don't want to think about it. You want to kind of just say, hey, man, I don't got to worry. This isn't going to happen to me. But you should be angry when you see some of these cuts to Medicaid. Maybe you're not getting Medicaid. Maybe you're not on SNAP. But you still should look at this. To me, these are cuts. These are major cuts to the income of folks. And if they cut one place, I always say if somebody does something somewhere, they're going to do something somewhere else. I'm very concerned about Social Security. I know at this point anyway, the trust fund, when's it going to run out? Is it 2036? I could go on about the budget and all the cuts there. But the point is this: we have to be on top of of what's happening to us. We should, without question, do our own research. Also pay attention to valid news sources, people that will give you the information that is correct. I mentioned a couple of sources that I use, and I use them religiously because I think it's important. For me, it's important. I want to know the truth. So if I listen to Mary Johnson, which I'm hoping to have her on this program on a Friday, the independent Social Security and Medicare policy analyst, I'm also going to have, I invited somebody from the Senior Citizens League, the nonpartisan group, to come on as well, because I want you to hear it right from the let's say from the horse's mouth, but I want you to hear what's going on. So if you've got any questions, please go ahead and submit your question. If you'd like to know something that I haven't covered, maybe you want some clarification, you're more than welcome to contact me. Now, I want to say this. Next week, next Friday, what I want to do is I'm going to talk about something that's I think it's very important. It's very important for a lot of you out there. It's the House GOP's bill that's saying they're going to give a $4,000 senior bonus to folks. And this is, I believe, is separate from, and I'm sure it is, separate from the eliminating the taxes on Social Security benefits. So I'm going to talk about that next week. I'll give you the latest on this $4,000 senior bonus, and I'm going to tell you how it compares to eliminating the tax on Social Security. You're going to want to watch this episode because all of us, this could impact all of us. I've got a lot of information on it. We've done a lot of research. I got one person, as a matter of fact, who I work with on this particular topic because we're truly trying to understand it. Otherwise, I would have given it to you today if I really felt we had something that was that I could give you. I wasn't worried that it was going to change or be so fluid. But the House, this was just in the committee, so yeah, it was the $4,000 senior bonus. And to me, it's a joke once you find out the numbers. So that's all I got for you. Please go ahead, subscribe to Over 50 TV if you want more information. Go ahead and also sign up for my free breaking news email, and I'll send that out to you. Also, I want to thank Career Fitter. I didn't mention them, but Career Fitter sponsored this video. There's a lot of people out there that want to make more money. And you know what? Take a career aptitude test. Career Fitter produces a free version. There's a link in the description box, or there will be a link in the description box for that. That's all I got for you. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and hopefully I can figure out how to sign this off. I actually have it right here. Have a great day, everybody.